There is a single sentence the president said Thursday afternoon that changes what frontier AI labs are allowed to ship tomorrow morning. He said it on camera, in front of reporters, and almost nobody noticed, because in the same 24 hours, Nvidia dropped an $81 billion quarter, Meta cut 14,000 jobs, and Saudi Arabia hired Goldman Sachs to buy GPUs. I will get to that sentence. But first you need to see what lit the fuse. Bombshell number 1, Nvidia. After market close on Wednesday, they posted numbers that looked photoshopped. Record revenue of $81.6 billion in a single quarter, up 85% from a year ago. The data center segment alone hit $75.2 billion, a 92% jump. Gross margins above 74%. They beat estimates with $1.87 per share against the $1.77 Wall Street had baked in. Then came the cherry. Nvidia authorized another $80 billion in share buybacks. They raised the quarterly dividend from 1 penny to 25 cents, a 25 times multiplier in a single line of the press release. And the guidance? Next quarter, $89 to $92.8 billion in projected revenue. Translation: one chip company expects to add another $11 billion in just 90 days. Faster than most Fortune 500 firms grow in an entire year. Try to fit this into your brain. Nvidia, in 3 months, just out-earned Disney's annual revenue. Their data center business is bigger than the GDP of half the United Nations. Shareholders are getting 25 times richer dividends overnight. And yet the Nasdaq still opened red Thursday morning because every analyst on the call kept pressing the same question. If Nvidia is winning this hard, who exactly is paying the bill? You're about to find out. Bombshell number 2, Menlo Park. The bill is being paid by the workforce. Wednesday morning, Meta walked into its offices and laid off 8,000 employees in a single coordinated wave. 10% of the global headcount, gone before lunch. Then the company canceled another 6,000 open job listings it had previously planned to fill. Effective reduction: 14,000 human beings, vaporized in one swing. The internal memo called it the year of efficiency, intensified. Here is the line that snapped Silicon Valley awake. Meta posted record quarterly revenue of $56.31 billion in the very same period it executed the cuts. Profitable. Growing. Still firing. Because the cash isn't going to people anymore, it's flowing straight into Nvidia's loading dock. The Meta CEO has now publicly committed up to $145 billion to AI infrastructure in 2026 alone. That number was $80 billion just 6 months ago. Bank of America estimates the layoffs alone unlock $7 to $8 billion in annualized savings, which Meta will redirect straight to GPUs. Roughly 7,000 surviving employees were quietly transferred into new groups with new titles: AI Builder, AI Pod Lead, AI Org Lead. If you weren't doing AI on Tuesday, you might not have had a desk on Wednesday. But it gets worse. The next bombshell came less than 12 hours later. Bombshell 3, Mountain View. Google walked on stage at I/O 2026 and dropped Gemini 3.5 Flash, claiming the model is 4 times faster than competing frontier rivals and runs at literally half the cost. On internal coding benchmarks, it beats Google's own previous flagship, Gemini 3.1 Pro, across nearly every category. They priced it for AI Plus, Pro, and Ultra subscribers starting today. Translation: every AI startup that spent the last year tuning prompts just got vaporized, but Google didn't stop. They also unveiled Gemini Omni Flash, native video generation through conversation, a personal AI agent that runs in the cloud 24 hours a day, search agents you spawn like browser tabs, and the biggest redesign of Google search in 27 years. A new $100 per month AI Ultra tier. Samsung XR glasses. And on stage, live an AI system that built an entire working operating system in front of the audience. Bombshell 4, Redmond. Microsoft quietly signed a $9.7 billion partnership with the data center operator IREN for Nvidia GB300 chip systems and expanded compute capacity. Read that figure again. $9.7 billion. One deal. One partner. Pure GPU and electricity. The Microsoft CEO now controls a chip and power supply chain that rivals national infrastructure. Azure didn't grow this quarter because of customers, it grew because of inventory the rest of the world couldn't get. Wait until you see what happened next. Bombshell 5, Manhattan meets Mountain View. Google and the private equity giant Blackstone announced a $25 billion AI infrastructure joint venture. $5 billion to start. Custom TPUs. 500 megawatt data centers. Private equity money is no longer chasing real estate or carried interest, it's chasing sand and silicon. The biggest landlords on Earth are about to quietly become the biggest power utilities on Earth. Now follow the money trail. Nvidia, in the last 16 months, has committed roughly $90 billion across 145 different AI companies. They're not just selling shovels anymore, they own a piece of every gold mine on the map. The startup Descartes just closed a $300 million round at a $4 billion valuation, backed by guess who, Nvidia itself. Descartes' product literally helps AI workloads jump between chip vendors. Even Nvidia is hedging against Nvidia, and that's not even the strangest part. Bombshells 6, GitHub. The platform that hosts the world's source code disclosed in the last 24 hours that it is investigating unauthorized access to internal repositories. A threat actor going by TeamPCP has publicly listed GitHub's source code, internal organizations, and private project data for sale on a known cybercrime forum. If even 10% of that listing is real, the implications for global software security are catastrophic. Every undisclosed vulnerability, every private API key, every backdoor sitting in corporate code potentially exposed. Microsoft owns GitHub. Microsoft just signed the biggest GPU deal of the quarter. The same week. The optics alone are bad enough. The technical fallout could take months to fully surface. And in parallel, a critical Linux kernel flaw dropped, tracked as CV 2026-46333, sitting inside the kernel's trace subsystem since November 2016. A decade-old door just kicked open. A second zero-day, codenamed Yellowkey, was disclosed in Microsoft BitLocker, allowing attackers to bypass full-disk encryption on Windows machines. On a normal week, either one of these would be the front-page headline. This week they're buried under everything else. Security researchers are already reporting unusual surges in scanning traffic. The AI revolution that everyone is celebrating runs on the same plumbing that's leaking in real time. Here's where it gets really interesting, because the geopolitics shifted too. Bombshells 7 Riyadh. Saudi Arabia's Humine, backed directly by the kingdom's sovereign wealth fund, just hired Goldman Sachs to finance a $5.3 billion GPU and data center build-out. 20 billion Saudi riyals of sovereign capital openly chasing chips. The kingdom that built its trillions on crude oil is now building its next trillion on transistors. And every barrel of crude that funds it is one more barrel of leverage Washington can no longer ignore. Now stack the numbers together. Nvidia's quarter $81 billion. Meta's AI capex $145 billion. Microsoft's Iron deal $9.7 billion. Google Blackstone venture $25 billion. Saudi Humine $5.3 billion. In a single 24-hour window, roughly $266 billion of declared spending or revenue tied directly to AI infrastructure landed on the public record. That is larger than the entire annual GDP of Greece, signed in one day. And in the middle of all that, 14,000 people lost their jobs at one company, while hundreds of billions of capital rotated toward machines designed to do those jobs faster and cheaper. Recruiters' phones went quiet. Engineering managers started rewriting headcount plans. Real estate analysts started downgrading commercial office demand in Menlo Park. The market did not panic. The market priced it in calmly. That is the part you should find genuinely frightening tonight. Now you can see what that decision was. President Trump pulled his landmark AI executive order off the table at the last minute Thursday afternoon. The order would have required Frontier AI Labs to notify the government and critical infrastructure providers before releasing advanced models, a 90-day early warning framework. Cybersecurity testing rules. Pre-release audits. Trump told reporters he, quote, didn't like certain aspects of it, and abruptly canceled the signing ceremony. His real reason, in his own words, quote, we're leading China, we're leading everybody, and I don't want to do anything that's going to get in the way of that lead. No safety review. No notification rules. No 90-day warning. The brakes came off. So now you know the trigger. 7 bombshells. 1 decision. And tomorrow morning, the labs go back to shipping models that nobody is required to disclose. Sleep well. That's all for today. If you found this useful, like, subscribe, and share it with someone who'd care. Catch you next time.